So we've come to the end of the book of Jonah, into Jonah chapter 4. And you kind of think, well, what's the purpose of Jonah chapter 4? We've had all the first three chapters where God has called on Jonah to go to the Ninevites. He says no, he runs away, he gets swallowed by the fish, he comes to his senses, he gets sent back out there, he does it, he becomes the greatest evangelist in history. That one sentence from Jonah and a whole city turns around to God. I mean, thank you very much. Good night. End of story. We're nice, done and dusted. We can tie that up one with a nice little bow, and we're all sorted. And then you get Jonah chapter 4, where Jonah's angry, he's miserable, he blames God, he can't understand why God is so compassionate and merciful, and Jonah really can't understand. And I guess for me the key has been Jonah was in the whale, and in the whale we believe that he came to his senses and says, okay Lord, I will do what you ask. But in many ways, Jonah being in the whale is about him not coming to his senses, but being freed from his senses, being freed from his fears, his prejudices, this idea of being born again and becoming out as a new person. And Jonah doesn't. That's the reality of it. Jonah doesn't come out as a new person. He carries his fears, his prejudices, his hate for his neighbour and his enemy. And quite rightly, the Ninevites were a dreadful people. They treated people really badly. You can understand in human terms, of course you would hate them. Of course you can't love them. But only through God are these types of things possible. And it reminds me of the story of the prodigal son. But the prodigal comes back and his dad welcomes him back, and he puts the cloak on him and a ring on his finger, sandals on his feet, and says, let's have a party, let's kill the calf, or whatever it is, and let's have a big meal in the community. And the older brother comes back and says, well, Dad, what are you doing? Don't you know what your brother was up to? And yet the father was merciful, and God to the Ninevites is merciful. And God says to Jonah, can't I have mercy and compassion on 120,000 people? And we think, well, that's God, that's who God is. And for those many people, of course. And then we realise, of course, but God also has mercy and compassion on Jonah. That's why he provided the fish. That's why he searched after Jonah. He wanted Jonah to transform too. And the story's left is will Jonah let God transform him? Will Jonah let the Spirit of God into his life? Will the older son in the story of the prodigal, will he let the Spirit of God into his life? Will he let him change him? And I guess the same is for us. Will we let God change us?